All right, so welcome everyone to today's session on Unleashing the Power of Real-Time Data with Woodside and Versent. This is a level 100 session, and just for the courtesy of all the other audience members in this crowd, if we could just keep our phones on silent, that would be amazing. Now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome on stage Head of Industry at Versent, Paul Grobler.
Thank you all so much for being here today. As a first stop, I just wanted to make sure that you can all hear me okay? Excellent. Thank you again for joining us today. Today we're going to talk to you a little bit about unleashing the power of data and real-time data and ingesting that and so forth. But first, my name is Paul Grobler. I'm the head of industry at Versent, where I look after industry-specific solutions for our customers. And if you're not familiar with Versent, we're a born-in-the-cloud consultancy and an AWS Premier Partner with end-to-end capability in that cloud and application development and engineering space. So we're going to get straight into our topic today, and for that, I would love to introduce the panelists today, Josianne Fortin from Woodside and Quentin White from Versent.
Take that bottle.
So before we dive into the topic today, I would love to get Josianne and Quentin to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into it.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a bit weird to have everyone with the headphones. Feels like a silent disco. My name is Josianne Fortin. I'm the head of digital products and delivery for Woodside Energy. So Woodside Energy is actually the largest independent oil and gas producer in Australia, top 10 globally. So we have operating assets in Australia, but also internationally, including in the Gulf of Mexico. So my role at Woodside Energy is really to empower a team around delivery. So I lead all of IT capital projects teams, and product teams. And that also includes our Fuse platform team. So Fuse is actually our operational data platform, and we deliver and offer a lot of different features on that platform. And my role in the Windfall platform was actually to enable the delivery team to really deliver at pace. And basically all the delivery teams are reported to me and still report to me through delivery. Quentin?
Hi everyone, thanks for taking the time to join us today. I know you've got lots of options, so I appreciate that. I'm Quentin, lead engineer. I've been at Versent about 6 years. I've got about 26 years experience in the infrastructure space in a range of project and operations roles, working in finance, government and the utilities sectors. While at Versent, I've spent most of my time at Woodside, working in their cloud infrastructure space, and most recently acting as a tech lead in the Windfall platform team, helping design and implement it. Essentially whatever sort of Joe can think of, I have to try and make it happen.
Awesome. Absolutely delighted to have you both with us today, and let's get into some questions about the aforementioned Windfall platform. So first to you, Josianne, what was the initial vision behind the Windfall platform and that sort of collaboration between Woodside, AWS and Versent, and how did that come about?
Yeah, so like any good vision, I think it really started with a business problem that we were trying to solve for. So what we realized is that there was an actual gap in the way that we were looking at connecting our data on the assets and connectivity in the systems. And that really resulted in a lot of data latency. And that meant that there was an inability for the people to really leverage fully the data on the asset for optimized decision making. So what we decided to do is talk to key partners around how we would solve for this problem and how would we bring data connectivity and connectivity in the ecosystem all the way from our operating assets, operating data, through a cloud environment, which mostly run on AWS. So we've been a long-term partner of AWS. So we spoke to the AWS team, and what they did is they connected us with the product team in Seattle. So there's a product team called the SiteWise product team, which looks at data connectivity and also IoT. And we actually flew to Seattle and I had a bit of a workshop with them to really understand how we could leverage the managed services part of their offering so that we could kind of re-engineer and rethink the vision for Fuse and how we could reduce our data latency. And Versent really came about because what we wanted and what we needed was boots on the ground to make the vision come to life. And that's how Versent really played a really critical and pivotal role through developers like Quentin offering thought leadership, but also really good understanding of our Woodside environment, and that meant the IT and the OT environment, and how we could combine that so we can really realize the vision for Woodside.
That sounds fantastic. And then how did that strategic partnership between Versent, AWS and Woodside, how did that accelerate the development of the platform?
Yeah, I mean, those partnerships are really, really critical for us. You know, as an engineering oil and gas company, we really know that we cannot do it by ourselves. So what Versent brought to the table, as I said, was that thought leadership, boots on the ground, capacity, capability, but also brought the framework around looking at accelerating the delivery, and also really deep AWS expertise.
100%. So, Quentin, over to you. Let's talk more about the Windfall platform. How does it work, and how has it really brought about that sort of operational resiliency that it brought into the piece?
So to start that, to answer that question, we've got to cover a couple of simple things first off. Windfall stands for the Woodside Industrial Data Fabric at low latency. And we also need to understand the types of plant data that we're trying to collect from edge. There are two types essentially at the moment, which is alarm and event data, which is recording state changes in equipment. So something like a valve is opening, a valve is open, a valve is moving, a valve is closed, operators logging on and off, or a piece of equipment breaching a threshold, going into an alarm state and then returning back to normal. The next type of data is tag data, which is essentially time series data. And that's where you have a piece of equipment, you give it a tag reference, and then you poll it for a value or values. So that's things like temperature, pressure, flow rate, that kind of stuff. When we came in, there's a current incumbent method of getting that data from site. So that's currently the control systems collect it at site. It's synced to a local historian, and then that's synced into an enterprise historian in the IT domain. And then it goes through a number of other ingestion hops before it reaches the enterprise data warehouse or the time series data lake. At every one of those hops, you're introducing latency. Some of those hops are batched ingestion, and it can be prone to outages and also long maintenance windows. So the Windfall platform was the brainchild and drive of Simon Chalmers, Woodside's principal architect, and he was driven by a staunch belief that acquiring low latency, high frequency plant data at scale and bringing that to the corporate environment would be an enabler of business value. And so it's built on a number of key tenets. Firstly, around on-demand scalability and reliability. So really leveraging the power of AWS managed services, particularly focusing on IoT services, such as IoT Sitewise, which we use for its modeling and calculation engine, and IoT Greengrass, which is how we facilitate edge collection, or data edge collection. It makes it easy to build in security throughout the platform, and helps us meet the strict regulatory compliance requirements that Woodside operate under, and also obviously minimizes ongoing OpEx costs. The next tenet is to focus on that low latency performance. So essentially, Simon's a big person on having no boxes or less boxes on your infrastructure diagrams. So the best part is no part. If it's not there, then it can't add to your latency. And the final tenet was to make it modular and decoupled. So that allowed us to pursue an iterative design approach, and we didn't want to try and build the perfect platform from the beginning. We wanted to demonstrate speed to value, and then optimize our ingestion as our experience and knowledge grew. So that gives Woodside two sort of key benefits, is that data is not siloed at site or locked away in sort of legacy applications that the rest of the business can't see. And the plant operators at all levels, both in the control room and moving outwards, they get access to that real-time sort of visibility of the plant state and operations, and they can make better decisions faster.
Absolutely amazing. And so you mentioned latency a few times there. So can you talk to us about how does the platform reduce that the data acquisition latency, I mean, from 15 minutes down to seconds now, and how does that impact, real-time decision making?
So we made a couple of principle defined decisions from the beginning to tackle that latency problem. Firstly was to acquire the data as close to its source as possible. That means we had to operate at edge in the OT domain, or operational technology. at site. And then that would give us access to the raw data, so that's something that hadn't been consolidated, aggregated, interpolated by any intermediary systems. It also meant we decided that we wanted to collect at higher frequency than was currently available, with as few processing hops. So collect it once at site and then ingest straight into the corporate AWS environment as quickly as possible via the DMZ endpoints. That means we avoid unnecessary syncing hops. We can be more event-driven without minimal batching. And that we can maintain that security end to end. We also wanted to make sure that we can make this data available to everyone who was authorized in Woodside. We wanted to make it easy for business users to be able to find that data and not have to go through sort of a data hunting exercise, particularly when it's an unplanned plant event, and that's where that time is critical. The impact of that fast data to plant operations is that some early, it enables a massive reduction in the ingestion from obviously minutes to by almost 95 to 99%. It then also, oops, sorry, I'm getting confused. Going full technical. Sorry.
Do you want me to talk about the benefits of the platform a little bit?
I'm back, sorry.
Yeah.
So you gain real-time insights in the plant and operations. So some early use cases were around plant safety and maintenance. So being able to confirm that the plant is safely shut down in the event of an unplanned trip. So that's where you're able to keep your people safe, you're able to minimize any further damage to your plant, and you're able to start remediating quicker, and that allows you to start the plant up quicker. And that's obviously, previously was a very manual process, and now it can be far more automated. In terms of equipment monitoring and surveillance, they can now optimize their, use predictive sort of maintenance to optimize their scheduling, either bring it forward or bring it back. And both of these allow them to realize some massive cost savings across the business.
Fantastic, and thanks for that summary, Quentin. And so, Josianne, what are some of the main benefits that Woodside's experienced since the Windfall platform has actually been operational and been implemented thus far?
Yeah, Quentin just mentioned a few as he was talking about how we came about developing the platform on the technical side. For us, really three key benefits that came through quite rapidly was cost, also the reduction, what I would call velocity in the delivery, and risk reduction. So I'm going to touch really quickly on these things. So Quentin already mentioned cost. When you operate in such a big environment like Woodside or any IT environment, cost and cost reduction is always really, really critical. So always looking at reducing costs. So for us, by moving from what used to be very custom development and custom application to managed services, working with the AWS product services team and Versent, really allowed us to minimize our development costs. But more than cost, it also increased our delivery velocity. Cost without value is still not great. We're always chasing both. So what we wanted to make sure we do as well is we can deliver value at pace. So at the beginning, it took a little while in the first use cases to deliver the use cases, but what we did really rapidly is we delivered a pattern of delivery and a repeatable pattern that really allowed us to really leverage the capacity and capability of the platform and start really delivering those use cases at pace. And what that means is that the business is a winner because we could move at pace with the customer and with the business. I don't know if you guys looked at the keynote this morning, but it was saying ship yesterday. I think we always aim to ship yesterday, so really moving at pace with the customer was the name of the game. And lastly, risk reduction. As an oil and gas company, our license to operate and risk reduction is always front of mind. Safety is always front of mind. So that also reduces our risk in our digital environment, but also across our operational assets. So by being able to give near real-time data, and it's really near real-time data to our operator and operating asset, we start to provide situational awareness on the asset, which reduces our risk on the asset.
Amazing. And so as most of you may know, you don't build a platform or a product like this without any challenges or technical complexities. There's always some things in the way. So let's really touch on that. So, but Josianne and Quentin, from a business and technical perspective, what are some of the challenges that you encounter? And more importantly, how did you overcome that?
I'll take the business. Quentin can take the technical. So from a business perspective, interestingly enough, we had to kind of sell internally the idea of managed services. Woodside Energy, being an engineering company, we love to solve for problems and we love to build stuff. So historically, we had built a lot of those custom applications ourselves. So the idea of moving from custom to managed services meant in some people's mind that we had to let go of some things. So we had to really sell that idea internally. And what we looked at is, we might not get 100% of what we had before, but the idea of 80-20, and maybe 80 was sufficient if we could accelerate the pace of delivery and reduce the cost. So we had to do a lot of work internally to really sell the idea of managed services. Very glad to say that people love it now, but it was just that initial skeptical view of the world.
Yeah. Quentin?
In terms of technical challenges, I guess probably the obvious one was where to find the data and how to access it. So we worked with the OT and data tech teams. We knew where the data ended up in the cloud environment or the enterprise warehouse, and then went back through the hops till we ended up at site. That then led to the technical challenge of actually how to access it. So we had to spend time getting approvals and getting access, and then to actually understand the technology and the protocols to ingest it. Working primarily in the IT space myself, the OT technologies and protocols were new to me. Cyber obviously always thought to make things easier and faster, so they had issues about network access at site. They were concerned about deploying AWS resources into the edge, or the OT domain, and would start breaking the Purdue model. So that's about how you isolate the various communication layers of control systems. So we worked with them to show them how the connectivity was going to work, and over time they became quite supportive in terms of getting it deployed at edge, and even made some changes to the OT DMZ to facilitate that, which is a win-win for our project, but also the business in general.
Yeah, and so these products or platforms, they really start to generate that value when you put them in the hands of the customer, start to really understand that user experience and how they consume the product. So Quentin, any examples or success stories that you can share where this is now actively being consumed? There's sort of demonstrable evidence of where you can start to show that operational efficiency and the resilience that this platform was meant to offer.
Yeah, I can share a couple. We got a big break early on in the development of the platform, where some of the plant operators were using a Fuse dashboard actually on the wall of the operations center. It was powered by slow tag data. Had a multitude of trend lines representing plant operations. I don't know what they mean. I assume when the green line crossed the yellow line, you bought tester stock, and they never confirmed that. But they certainly were very frustrated at the latency. They'd see something change in their control systems, and then it would take like half an hour or even more to reflect on the board. So Simon caught wind of this and approached them and said, look, we're developing a platform. We can probably get that for you using fast data. So they gave us the list, and we were able to turn it around in, say, a week. And they were blown away. So they were blown away by being able to see the change almost instantly reflected on the board, but they were blown away also in terms of how quickly we could do that. Something like that traditionally at Woodside would take months easily. So from that they began to trust what we could do and have belief in what we were doing. So that led to an opportunity to help them deprecate a legacy application, which was used for generating plant safety and compliance reports. So that was far, far more challenging to do, but eventually we've got to the point where they can decommission that legacy infrastructure. That will save a lot of money in terms of hardware, but also licensing. It gives the plant operators a sleek UI that they can now use. And it was really the first internal customer investment in the platform where they wanted to give us money to give them some capability. So from that, now we're beginning to gain traction within Woodside. They can understand what we can do. So that led to us being unexpectedly approached by another part of the business to set up customer alerting using a text or an email. So when a tag reaches above or below a certain threshold. This business unit was not within the operations center, so they're normally a bit more removed. So we're using these alerts. They're able to do optimized scheduling and do high-level plant optimizations. And that helps, obviously, drive efficiency gains at the site because they can react quicker to plant changes. and an efficient plant is a more profitable plant.
So, and based on what I'm hearing, I can hear that this is, as we would say, Versent is definitely not done yet. So, so with that said, I'm hearing that there's definitely some more and something beyond the rest of the Windfall platform. So, Josianne, again, I'll probably look to you to see any other enhancements, new features, or what does the future hold for the rest, or further development of the Windfall platform?
Yeah, and I just realized that I did explain a little bit at the beginning what the Fuse platform was, but I think we need to understand how the Windfall platform is basically feeding the Fuse platform. So our Fuse platform is a digital twin platform that was initially created to look at providing situational awareness to our operator on the asset. And the two work really, it's like building blocks, right? So the Windfall then feeds the Fuse feeds different feature. So you're right, we're never really done, because we're always working alongside the customer to really understand what is it that we can do to always improve the platform, make the adoption of the platform also really higher. So there's two components to the future plans that we have for the platform. First of all, in the short term, very happy to say that we are growing our operating footprint. We have Scarborough in Western Australia that's going to come online in 2026. There's Trion, and we also have LNG Louisiana, which is a project in the US. So what we're really keen on doing is working alongside these operating assets to look at these use cases. We are using the Windfall platform to build a Pluto hub, which is a Fuse, how it's going to really support our operating Pluto hub asset. So we want to keep making sure we do that. And then the other one that we want to make sure we do is keep working as well with the AWS team in Seattle, and of course with Versent, to look at leveraging and understanding what other customers are also doing in that space, so that we keep innovating at pace with the market, with the customer, and that we don't become complacent with what we have.
So you just mentioned again Versent and AWS.
Yes.
How important are these strategic partnerships or relationships to continue to do this?
Not important at all, Paul. No, I keep mentioning that because, as I said, we are an oil and gas company. We're not a technology company. So we always love to work with partners that push us in that innovation space. We feel like we're better together, because we can really look at, again, how do we take those business problems, turn them into an opportunity and provide value to Woodside. So those partnerships are really, really critical for Woodside. We also know that we don't have all the capacity, all the capability to do things ourselves. As I said, we're an engineering company. We love to build stuff and we love to solve problems, but we also love to partner with an ecosystem that allows us to solve for these problems.
Fantastic. Had me quite
Get out.
And so Quinton, back to you. Just there's so much like cloud native and immersive technologies. How do you see some of those technologies? Maybe in particular, this won't be a good session without touching on AI and ML as well. How could that feed into the Windfall platform in future?
So throughout the development of the platform, we've leveraged our partnership with the AWS service teams. They've been very generous with sharing their insights, including their roadmap for AI, both public and also in development. One insight they've given us is the trend for the convergence between OT and IT environments, and the benefits of using AWS services to really create that strong edge-to-cloud integration and connectivity. The platform is built cloud native and it's modular as possible, and so the idea being we have a strong foundation now that we can integrate new features or services with minimal cost or impact to operations. We can try new features or ways of working in a spin-up sandbox without any impact to site. We can incorporate them if they add value or discard them without much effort or cost. The OT environment will always be far more static than the IT or cloud environment, but the opportunity cost to not leverage cloud technology to innovate is just too much, so we must use it as much as we can. I know it's very hot right now, but there is no AI in the Windfall platform yet. When we started, we did look at machine learning anomaly detection, a product called Lookout for Equipment. But we decided as we progressed that we needed to really narrow our focus into delivering a platform that had that fast data ingestion and acquisition, and actually deliver it. and not end up sort of a bit of a vaporware. So although it's not incorporating AI at the moment, it does become an enabler to sort of business initiatives that will be able to take use of that fast data that's providing, and sort of critical for enabling those downstream applications that are going to use that, such as AI models, digital twins, plant optimization engines, such as the Fuse Situation Advisor.
Yep. Yeah, we developed, I could see Steve actually in the crowd. We actually developed Situation Advisor last year on Fuse, which is just a way to look at AI-enabled search on equipment. And all of that are key enablers, right, of really looking at leveraging. So I think the way you architect, the way you build those foundations can really accelerate what we want to do in the AI space down the track.
Awesome. That sounds like a fantastic way forward and some good things to consider in future. It's been an absolute delight to unpack this topic today. But just to leave the audience with something today, what can we leave today in terms of any other advice, any sort of other considerations for folks, organizations that may be considering a similar digital transformation or undertaking something similar compared to the Windfall platform?
Yeah, so what I would say to people that are considering any initiatives that has the potential to really transform their business, as I said at the beginning, start with the business problem first of all, because if you have a business problem, then you have value that you can generate to the business. Also, again, I'm going to make reference to the keynote and Brendan, the CTO at Canva this morning, when he back in 2014, when he looked at building the initial vision, he started with the end in mind, if that makes sense. So I think, if you think about your current constraint, but you architect and you build for the future and the vision that you want to realize, then it allows you to start to look at making trade-off decisions as you go as well. And what I would say to you is also work alongside the customer. Find someone really passionate within your organization that has a problem to solve. Take them along on the journey. Ship fast and ship often, which is again the agile principle of delivery, and then making sure you're focusing on delivering continuous value. And also make sure that as you do that, you go back and revisit the trade-off conversation or decisions that you made at the beginning, and that you harden your platform so that you make sure that your platform is also fit for purpose for the future. It's secure, it's safe, it's scalable, it's repeatable, and keep delivering value for your organization.
Amazing. Anything to add, Quinton?
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree with Joe about having that clear vision and what you're trying to achieve. Yeah, don't try and build a mega project. Start small, demonstrate the value, and then grow from there. You'd think it's a no-brainer, but you make sure you've got buy-in from the business, from all parts of it. In our case, we needed to build the trust of the plant operations team. If they don't trust what you build, they won't use it, because they've always got their control systems they can fall back to. Cyber, as always, they're the gatekeepers to your success. And also another thing for us to consider was the incumbent support teams and vendor. Yeah. If you want them to support your project and not see you as a threat, and put up blockers, which is possible. We were also lucky in our team to have the skills, knowledge, and also access to be able to support the platform end to end. So OT DMZ, on-prem, IT, and in the cloud. And so that slashes the friction to do anything and accelerates your delivery velocity.
Maybe the last thing, really select the right partner. Paul, at the beginning, because if you can start partnering on the vision, then you partner throughout, from execution to run and maintain to making then the initiative better. So select the first partner, the right partner, select them early, bring them along the journey all the way through.
Fantastic. Well, folks, it's been an absolute delight to talk to you today and hosting this session. I want to extend a massive thank you to Josianne from Woodside to join us today. And of course, Quinton, thank you so much for your time. Have a great day. We will be at the Versent booth after if you want to ask us any questions, and we'll see you there. And in the meantime, thank you and have a good afternoon.